Listen, if you don't control your mind will control you. If you don't control your mouth will destroy you. And if you don't control your money will forever run from you. Everything begins with control, not control in the sense of restriction, but control in the sense of mastery, because mastery creates freedom. Your mind is your greatest asset or your greatest enemy. Every single day, it's throwing thousands of thoughts at you, some empowering, some destructive. And most people, they let the destructive ones run the show. They let fear, doubt, insecurity, and distraction become the driver of their life. But when you decide to take the wheel, when you say no more, and discipline your thoughts to focus only on what serves you, your mind becomes a weapon, a force, a magnet for success. But let's talk about the mouth. Words are power. Words can create and words can destroy. How many people have burned relationships, ruined opportunities, or destroyed trust just because they couldn't control their mouth? One careless word can undo years of hard work. One heated moment can sabotage everything. You've got to condition yourself to speak only what moves you forward. What lifts others up, what builds, not what tears down. Learn to pause before you speak. Learn to shut it when silence is power. And learn to use your voice like a tool for influence, not a weapon of destruction. Now, money. Let's be real. Money doesn't solve everything, but a lack of money will magnify every problem you have. And most people don't have a money problem. They have a discipline problem. They can't control their money because they can't control themselves. They chase instant gratification. They spend before they earn. They consume instead of invest. Money flows to those who respect it, manage it, and multiply it. If you don't control your money will control your life, your choices, your freedom. So here's the truth: control your mind, and you own your reality. Control your mouth, and you own your relationships. Control your money, and you own your future. And when you master all three, you become unstoppable. Control your mind, or it will control you. That is the first law of personal power, and it's not negotiable. Most people don't realize that their entire life is being dictated by the unchecked patterns of their mind. You see, the mind is not some neutral observer. It's a survival machine that's been wired to keep you safe, not to keep you successful. It's designed to keep you in the familiar, not to push you into the extraordinary. And unless you take command of it, unless you decide to grab the steering wheel, your mind will keep you stuck in the same cycles of fear, doubt, procrastination, and hesitation. Think about how many times have you had a goal, a vision, a dream, and the moment you started thinking about taking action, that little voice crept in. What if I fail? What if they laugh at me? What if it doesn't work? And instead of moving forward, you stayed where you were. That's the mind controlling you. That's your brain running an old program, one designed years ago, maybe from childhood, maybe from some painful experience, and now you're letting it run the show of your life. But here's the truth: you are not your mind. You are the master of your mind if you choose to be. Control means awareness. It means observing your thoughts instead of reacting to them. It means catching the destructive ones and replacing them with ones that serve you. It means no longer being a prisoner of the inner critic, but becoming the architect of your inner dialogue, because your mind will try to throw everything at you. Fear, scarcity, limitation, and you must train it the way an athlete trains their body. Every day you condition it. You feed it the right thoughts. You feed it focus. You feed it belief. You feed it visions of possibility until it learns that it works for you, not the other way around. When you don't control your mind, you live in reaction. Someone says something negative, you react. Something doesn't go your way, you react. Traffic, delays, failures, disappointments, they own you. But when you control your mind, you choose your state. You decide how to interpret events. You choose whether an obstacle is a wall or a stepping stone. And that control creates power, because life isn't about what happens, it's about what you make it mean. 2, people can experience the same event. One crumbles, the other grows. The difference isn't the event. The difference is the mind that interprets a control also means focus. In this world, your attention is under attack. Every screen, every notification, every advertisement is fighting for your mind. And if you don't control it, someone else will. If you don't command your attention, you will live scattered, distracted, constantly reacting to what others demand of you. But when you control your focus, you become dangerous, because a focused mind is unstoppable. It can cut through noise, create solutions, and execute with precision. Success is not about doing a million things. It's about focusing on the few that matter and giving them everything. And that requires mental control. Another piece of this is mastering your emotional state. Your emotions are the product of your mind's focus, language, and meaning. If you let your mind wander into fear, anger, resentment, guess what emotions you will feel? But if you control your mind to focus on gratitude, solutions, and opportunities, your emotions shift instantly. The same situation can make you miserable or make you motivated. It depends on the direction you send your mind. That's why people who master their mind seem unshakable. It's not that life is easier for them. It's that they've trained their mind not to collapse under pressure, but to rise under pressure. Think of your mind like a wild horse. If left unchecked, it will drag you wherever it wants. And it usually drags you into fear, into doubt, into comfort zones. But when you learn to take the reins, when you train it, that same wild power becomes unstoppable energy. It becomes something you can ride toward your goals, toward your vision, toward your destiny. But the key is daily conditioning. No one controls their mind once and stays there forever. It's a practice. It's repetition. It's awareness every single day. Because the moment you stop training it, the old patterns return. The old voice of fear tries to sneak back in. The old habits of distraction try to reclaim control. That's why you must be vigilant. You must be intentional. You must become the commander of your mental world. And here's the secret: when you control your mind, everything else follows. Your decisions, your actions, your habits, your results, they all start in the mind. Success doesn't begin in your bank account. It begins in your thoughts. Health doesn't begin in your body. It begins in your thoughts. Relationships don't begin in your conversations. They begin in your thoughts. Because the way you think shapes the way you show up, and the way you show up shapes everything. Control your mind and you control your reality. Surrender your mind and you surrender your life. That's the choice in front of you every single day. Which one are you going to choose? Control your mouth, because words can build or destroy. The mouth is one of the most underestimated sources of power in a human being's life. People throw words around carelessly as if they evaporate the moment they're spoken, but words do not vanish. They land. They land on the hearts of others, on the minds of those listening, and they land in your own consciousness. The words you speak plant seeds, and those seeds either grow into opportunities, trust, connection, and influence, or they grow into conflict, regret, pain, and broken relationships. One sentence can open a door, and one careless phrase can slam it shut forever. You know it's true because you felt it. Maybe someone once said something to you that lit you on fire, gave you hope, inspired you to rise above your circumstances. And maybe someone else said something that crushed you, cut deep into your identity, and you carried that one for years. That's the power of the mouth. Most people speak without awareness. They blurt out whatever emotion is boiling at the surface. Anger comes, they lash out. Fear comes, they exaggerate. Jealousy comes, they criticize. In those moments, they forget that once a word is spoken, it cannot be unsaid. You can apologize, you can regret it, but the damage might still linger. That's why the ability to control your mouth is not about censorship, it's about mastery. It's about recognizing that your words carry weight and choosing to use them deliberately. When you learn to pause before you speak, when you learn to evaluate whether your words are serving you and others, you begin to step into a level of influence most people never reach. Your mouth doesn't just impact others, it impacts you. The words you speak create the world you live in. Say negative things long enough and you train your mind to believe in limitation. Complain constantly and you create a lens that only sees problems. Gossip often and you fill your environment with distrust. On the other hand, speak with belief, speak with vision, speak with gratitude, and you rewire your own mind to operate in empowerment. Words program the subconscious. They become the soundtrack you live by. If you want to change your life, start by changing what comes out of your mouth. Stop saying, I can't, it's too hard, I'll never. Replace them with, I will, I can, it's possible. Because the words you repeat most often become the reality you live inside. There's also a deeper power in silence. Sometimes control of the mouth means not speaking at all. Too many people feel the need to respond immediately, to defend themselves, to always have the last word. But real strength is the ability to hold your tongue when silence will serve you more. Silence can be powerful. Silence can protect your energy. Silence can disarm conflict. And silence can make your words far more impactful when you do choose to speak. When every word you say matters, people listen. When you talk all the time, your voice becomes background noise. Controlling your mouth means knowing when to speak and when to remain still. Think of the leaders who inspire you. They don't waste words. They don't ramble. They don't speak from impulse. They choose their words carefully. And because of that, when they speak, the room listens. That's not accidental. That's mastery. They know the mouth is a tool of influence, and they treat it like a weapon that must be used with precision. You have the same power. Your words can command attention, they can ignite action, they can heal wounds, they can create unity. But only if you discipline yourself not to waste them on negativity, gossip, or pointless chatter. Every word is energy. Ask yourself, am I spending it wisely? Relationships are built or destroyed by the mouth. How many marriages, friendships, or partnerships have been ruined not by action, but by words spoken in anger, by promises broken, by careless remarks that cut too deep? And how many relationships have been built stronger because someone chose to speak life, to speak encouragement, to express love? The quality of your relationships is the quality of your communication, and your communication is shaped by your mouth. If you want better relationships, control what you say. Don't react. Don't just vent. Think, will these words bring me closer or push me further apart? Business is no different. Entire careers are built on communication. Deals are won or lost by what comes out of your mouth. Leaders rise because of their ability to speak vision and inspire others to act. Others stagnate because they never learned how to communicate with clarity and conviction. Your ability to articulate your ideas, to negotiate, to influence, to connect, that's all in your control if you master your mouth. It's not about being the loudest. It's about being the most intentional. It's about saying less but making every word count, and then there's the way your words echo inside of you. Every time you speak, you are reinforcing an identity. You're telling your brain who you are and what you're capable of. If you constantly say, I'm tired, I'm broke, I'm unlucky, I'm not good enough, you're carving that reality into your nervous system. But if you choose to say, I'm capable, I'm resourceful, I'm powerful, I'm resilient, you are carving a completely different identity. The mouth feeds the mind, and the mind creates the life. Control your mouth, and you redirect the trajectory of your entire existence. Control is not about never expressing yourself. It's not about bottling things up. It's about expressing consciously with awareness and intention. It's about choosing words that serve your highest vision, words that align with who you want to become, words that build rather than destroy. Because every word is a brick, and you are either building your future or tearing it down. The question is, are you building something worth living in, or are you carelessly demolishing your own foundation with every careless word that slips out? Control your money, or it will control your future. Money is energy, it is leverage, it is freedom, but only for those who learn to master it instead of becoming mastered by it. Most people are slaves to money without even realizing it. They wake up every day and their choices, their stress, their opportunities are dictated by whether there's enough money in their account, whether the bills are paid, whether the debt is crushing them. And the sad truth is, it's not because money has some magical power. It's because they never learned to control it. They spend before they earn. They chase things that make them look rich instead of things that make them wealthy, and they let instant gratification rob them of long-term freedom. Money is not emotional, but people are. That's why money controls them. Every time they feel stressed, they spend to soothe themselves. Every time they feel insecure, they buy something to prove something. Every time they feel impatient, they try to get rich quick instead of building wealth steadily. And the cycle continues, money leading their decisions instead of decisions leading their money. Control means breaking that cycle. It means stepping back and saying, my money will follow my vision, not my impulses. It means telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. It means shifting from being a consumer of everything to being an investor, a creator, a builder. There is a massive difference between rich and wealthy. Rich is the car in the driveway, the watch on the wrist, the vacation on credit. Wealthy is freedom from worry, freedom from debt, freedom to choose. Wealth is quiet. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't need validation. It simply gives you the power to live life on your terms. But to get there, you must control the flow of money. You must respect it. You must manage it with discipline. Think of money like water. If you don't build channels for it, it flows away, it evaporates, it disappears. But if you direct it, store it, invest it, it multiplies, it sustains, it becomes a force that serves you for the rest of your life. Too many people believe money is evil, and that belief alone is why they never have it. Money is not evil. It is a magnifier. It amplifies who you already are. If you're generous, more money allows you to give more. If you're reckless, more money accelerates your destruction. That's why control is everything. Without discipline, money exposes your weaknesses. With discipline, money multiplies your strengths. The truth is, money flows to those who respect it. It flows to those who learn its rules. It flows to those who control it instead of letting it slip through their fingers. You don't need to be born into it. You don't need luck, but you do need discipline. That discipline starts with the simple decision, I will control my money. I will not let it control me. When you don't control money, your future shrinks. You can't say yes to opportunities. You can't invest in yourself. You can't take risks that could change your life. You become trapped in a cycle of working just to survive instead of working to thrive. But when you control it, the future expands. You can choose to walk away from what doesn't serve you. You can choose to take the leap into a new venture. You can choose to support your family, your dreams, your causes without fear. Money under control creates options. Money out of control creates chains. Control starts with awareness. Most people avoid looking at their numbers because they don't want to face reality. They don't want to see the debt, the spending, the waste. But avoiding it doesn't free you. It traps you deeper. The moment you face it, the moment you track every dollar, you regain power. You see the patterns. You see the leaks. You see the opportunities to redirect. Awareness creates control. Control creates freedom. And from there, you can build a system. Pay yourself first. Save before you spend. Invest before you indulge. Create a plan for your money instead of reacting to every impulse. Because when you fail to plan, your emotions take over. And emotions are the worst money managers in the world. Another truth is that you don't need more money to control it. Most people think, when I earn more, I'll manage it better. That's a lie. If you can't control 100, you won't control 1,000. If you can't control 1,000, you won't control 10,000. More money simply magnifies the lack of control you already have. The habits you build with the little are the habits you will carry with the lot. If you learn to manage and multiply a small amount, you will be trusted with more. If you waste what you have now, more will not fix the problem. Control is built in the present, not in some future fantasy. And don't misunderstand, controlling money doesn't mean never enjoying life, never spending, never having fun. It means spending with intention, not impulse. It means buying what aligns with your values, not what impresses strangers. It means choosing experiences that enrich you instead of purchases that drain you. It means making your money work for you instead of you endlessly working for money. That is true control. That is true freedom. Generational wealth is built by those who control money. Families that thrive for decades aren't built on luck. They're built on discipline. Someone in that line decided, I will master this. I will create systems. I will pass down not just money, but the mindset of control. And that decision changes everything. If you don't control money, you pass down struggle. If you do control it, you pass down freedom. That's how powerful this is, not just for you, but for everyone who comes after you. So control your money, or it will control your choices, your freedom, your opportunities, your future. It is not about greed. It is about power. It is not about status. It is about stability. And the moment you choose to step into control, you reclaim the driver's seat of your financial life. The choice is always yours every single day with every single dollar. Discipline in these three areas creates freedom in every area of life. People often think discipline means restriction, limitation, or a loss of joy, but in truth, discipline is the gateway to freedom. Without discipline, life becomes chaos. Your mind pulls you in 1,000 directions. Your mouth speaks words that damage relationships. Your money slips through your hands, and you end up trapped, stressed, and powerless. But when you bring discipline to your mind, your mouth, and your money, you unlock the ability to live on your own terms. Discipline is the structure that supports success, the invisible framework that allows you to move freely without fear of collapse. It is not the enemy of freedom. It is the creator of it. Think about your mind. If you let it wander wherever it wants, you live in reaction. Every negative thought becomes your reality. Every fear controls your decisions. Every doubt sabotages your progress. That is not freedom. That is slavery to your own mental chaos. But when you discipline your mind, when you decide what thoughts to focus on, what beliefs to reinforce, what stories to tell yourself, you gain freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom from procrastination, freedom from the endless cycle of excuses. The discipline of controlling your mind creates the freedom to design your future, because you are no longer held hostage by every passing emotion or random distraction. A disciplined mind creates a life of clarity, focus, and strength. Now think about your mouth. Without discipline, your words can destroy everything you care about. They can break trust, escalate conflict, damage your reputation, and shut doors that may never open again. One undisciplined moment of anger can ruin years of hard work. That is not freedom, that is bondage to your impulses. But when you discipline your mouth, when you pause before speaking, when you choose words that build instead of destroy, you create freedom. Freedom to influence, freedom to connect deeply, freedom to lead with power and respect. Your words become tools that open doors, attract opportunities, and strengthen bonds. That discipline creates a freedom of expression rooted in wisdom, not regret. It gives you control over how you are perceived and how you impact others, and that kind of freedom cannot be bought. It must be earned through discipline and money. Without discipline, money is a chain around your neck. Every paycheck is gone before it arrives. Every bill is a source of anxiety. Every opportunity is out of reach because you cannot afford to take it. That is not freedom. That is financial slavery. But with discipline, money becomes a servant instead of a master. When you budget, when you save, When you invest with intention, you create freedom. Freedom to choose how you live, where you live, who you spend time with, and what opportunities you pursue. Financial discipline creates options. It eliminates stress. It builds a future where you are not trapped by debt or desperation, but empowered by security and abundance. That is true financial freedom. And it only comes through discipline. The beauty is that discipline in these three areas doesn't just stay contained. It multiplies across every part of your life. Discipline in the mind gives you clarity and resilience that shows up in your career, your relationships, and your health. Discipline in the mouth strengthens your influence, which impacts your leadership, your family, and your community. Discipline in money creates stability and freedom, which allows you to pursue your passions, invest in your growth, and live without constant worry. Each one feeds into the other. If your mind is disciplined, you make better financial choices. If your mouth is disciplined, you build stronger relationships that open doors to more opportunities. If your money is disciplined, you reduce stress and allow your mind and words to flow from a place of abundance instead of scarcity. It's a cycle of empowerment, all built on the foundation of discipline. Most people chase freedom without realizing that freedom without discipline leads to destruction. They want the freedom to eat whatever they want, but without discipline, it leads to sickness. They want the freedom to say whatever they want, but without discipline, it leads to broken relationships. They want the freedom to spend however they want, but without discipline, it leads to debt and bondage. Real freedom is not doing whatever you feel like in the moment. Real freedom is having the power to make choices that serve you long term, without being enslaved by your impulses. That power only comes from discipline. Discipline is not punishment, it is training. Just like a muscle, the more you practice it, the stronger it gets. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Saying no to a destructive thought, holding back a careless word, resisting the urge to spend on something unnecessary, it feels restrictive. But just like lifting weights, over time that resistance builds strength. And with strength comes freedom. You stop being controlled by impulses, and you start being controlled by vision. You stop being a victim of circumstance, and you start becoming the architect of your life. That is what discipline does. It creates the foundation for freedom that lasts. A freedom without discipline is temporary. It feels good in the moment, but it costs you in the long run. The freedom of indulging every craving leads to the prison of poor health. The freedom of venting every thought leads to the prison of broken trust. The freedom of spending recklessly leads to the prison of debt. But discipline flips it. The discipline of eating right leads to the freedom of energy and longevity. The discipline of speaking wisely leads to the freedom of influence and respect. The discipline of managing money leads to the freedom of choice and security. The path may feel harder in the moment, but the reward lasts a lifetime, and the truth is, discipline in one area bleeds into all others. When you train your mind to focus, that discipline carries over into how you speak. When you train your mouth to pause, that discipline carries over into how you manage your emotions and decisions. When you train your money habits, that discipline strengthens your ability to delay gratification and think long term. The skills are transferable. That's why people who master discipline often excel in multiple areas of life. It's not because they're lucky. It's because discipline is universal. Power discipline in your mind, your mouth, and your money creates a foundation of freedom that cannot be shaken. It gives you clarity of thought, power of speech, and stability of resources. It allows you to navigate challenges with strength, build relationships with intention, and pursue opportunities with confidence. It is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It is the silent force that separates those who live in reaction from those who live in creation. Discipline is the cost, but freedom is the reward, and the price is worth it. Every single time, master your mind, mouth, and money, and you become unstoppable. Life is a battlefield, and every person is fighting battles on three fronts: the war in the mind, the war in the mouth, and the war in the way money is handled. If you lose in any of those areas, the fight for freedom, success, and peace becomes 10 times harder. But if you master all three, if you learn to stand in control of your thoughts, your words, and your resources, you put yourself in a position where momentum is always on your side. Unstoppable doesn't mean you never face problems. It means problems no longer have the power to break you. It means setbacks become setups, challenges become fuel, and resistance becomes the very force that strengthens you. Mastering your mind means becoming the commander of your inner world. Most people are prisoners of their thoughts. They wake up every day and their mind runs on autopilot, replaying fear, worry, doubt, and limitation. They don't even notice it because it feels normal. But normal doesn't mean powerful, it means conditioned. Mastery of the mind is the ability to break free of that conditioning, to rewire those patterns, and to consciously choose thoughts that serve your vision. It is the practice of deciding moment by moment what meaning you will assign to what happens around you. Events are neutral, interpretation is everything. When you master your mind, you master meaning. And when you master meaning, you master life. You can walk into the same storm as everyone else, but instead of drowning, you learn to sail. That mastery creates an unshakable presence, a level of inner power that no circumstance can strip away. Then comes the mouth. Words are the bridge between your inner world and the outer world. They reveal what you believe, they shape how others see you, and they set in motion the energy that either builds or destroys. When you master your mouth, you control one of the most powerful forces you will ever wield. You know when to speak, and when silence will say more than any sentence. You know how to use words to influence, to inspire, to calm storms, to lead people into action. A mastered mouth is not impulsive, it is intentional. It doesn't waste energy on gossip, complaint, or excuses. It channels energy into clarity, encouragement, and persuasion. With mastery of the mouth, you become a force people listen to, a voice that carries weight, a presence that cannot be ignored. Entire opportunities are created or destroyed by a single conversation, a single sentence. Master your mouth, and you master the art of influence, connection, and respect, and then there is money. Money is a test of discipline, vision, and values. Most people let money slip through their fingers because they never learn to respect it. They chase the feeling of looking successful instead of building the reality of being successful. They let impulse dictate purchases. They let fear dictate decisions, and they end up living in chains controlled by bills, debt, and scarcity. Mastery of money is the ability to flip the dynamic. It's the power to tell money where to go instead of wondering where it went. It's the clarity to separate wants from needs, investments from distractions, assets from liabilities. When you master money, you don't just buy things, you build freedom. You don't just chase income, you create wealth. You don't just survive, you design a future. And here's the truth: when you have money under control, stress disappears, choices multiply, and opportunities expand. Money stops being a source of anxiety and becomes a tool for growth, generosity, and impact. Now imagine what happens when all three are mastered together. A disciplined mind gives you clarity and resilience. A disciplined mouth gives you influence and connection. And disciplined money gives you stability and freedom. Combined, they make you unstoppable. People who master all three walk differently. They speak differently. They operate differently. They are no longer reactive to the world. They are proactive creators of their world. Obstacles appear, but they have the mental strength to reframe them, the communication skills to navigate them, and the financial foundation to push through them without breaking. They are dangerous not because they avoid struggle, but because struggle cannot control them. They are rare, and that rarity is what makes them powerful. Mastery in these areas also compounds over time. A mastered mind keeps you consistent. That consistency shows in how you speak, which builds relationships and reputation. Those relationships create opportunities that, when combined with mastered money, turn into growth and freedom. Each discipline strengthens the other. Weakness in one area can sabotage the rest, but mastery in all three makes you unstoppable in every sense. This is why some people seem to win no matter what. They're not luckier, they're disciplined in the fundamentals. They don't need motivation to keep going because their systems of mastery carry them forward even on the days when motivation is absent. Unstoppable doesn't mean reckless. It means controlled. It means calm in chaos, focused in distraction, disciplined in temptation. It means having the strength to keep moving when others quit, to keep building when others settle, to keep believing when others give up. It is not about perfection. It is about consistency. No one controls their mind, mouth, and money perfectly every day. But mastery is not perfection. It is persistence. It is the ability to get back on track quickly, to notice when you slip and correct it immediately. That is what makes mastery unshakable over time. There's a reason so few people reach this level. It's hard. It requires saying no when everyone else is saying yes. It requires pausing when everyone else is reacting. It requires saving when everyone else is spending. It requires training when everyone else is relaxing. But the reward is a kind of freedom and power that the undisciplined will never know. Mastery is earned, not given. And the ones who earn it become unstoppable, not because the world changes for them, but because they change how they show up to the world. The unstoppable life is not built on luck, talent, or shortcuts. It is built on mastering the fundamentals that most people ignore. Control your mind so your thoughts empower you instead of enslave you. Control your mouth so your words create instead of destroy. Control your money so your future expands instead of shrinks. When all three align, you are no longer moved by the storms of circumstance, the opinions of others, or the distractions of the moment. You move with purpose, power, and presence. And that is what it means to be unstoppable